Thursday, April 22nd, 2010. It's a foggy day in the White Mountains of Arizona, and visibility is at an all-time low. We're at the McNary Railroad's Sitgreaves Shops area, and there has been very little activity for scheduled trains due to a visibility hazard being put in effect by the National Weather Service in Greer. However, there is a scheduled delivery bound for McNary that is expected to arrive around high noon. Coming from overseas, it is highly anticipated by the company, and it's a rare find and one of McNary Railroad's biggest projects yet. At the end of our train is a rare steam locomotive that was just purchased by CEO of McNary Railroad, Wallace Fitzgerald, back in 2009 after his company recovered from the 2008 recession. GP9 number 1413 backs her up into the Sitgreaves Shops, where she will call home for the next year or two. The locomotive in question is a sibling of a very famous class of locomotive. One that has been used for multiple speed records in the United Kingdom, not once, but twice, throughout the 1930s when steam locomotives were at their greatest. It is no other than the London and Northeastern A3 Class Pacific number 2750, better known as Papyrus. She was designed by Sir Nigel Gresley and was constructed by the Doncaster Locomotive Works in March 1929. For most of her career, she served the LNER on their East Coast Main Line from London's King's Cross to Waverley and Edinburgh, and in 1935 broke her sister Flying Scotsman's record at 108 miles per hour, 8 miles more than Scotsman's 100-mile-an-hour run. But by the 1960s, the days of steam were over, and diesel locomotives replaced them in a blink of an eye. Papyrus was retired from service in 1963 and was cut up for scrap. Or was she? Gartlock Mental Hospital in Glasgow was in dire need of a heating system, as the heaters in the boiler room couldn't keep up, so they contacted Arnott Young and Company to purchase a boiler at scrap value. It was the boiler of A3 Papyrus, and was repurposed as a stationary boiler for over 30 years. But by 1996, the hospital closed due to poor conditions and deinstitutionalization. Assets were sold off, most of the building was demolished, and the A3 would later be recovered and purchased by a private owner. The owner made some attempts to get Papyrus restored to operation. Unfortunately, he didn't have enough money to get Papyrus back on track, and passed away from old age in 2007. In 2009, the 2750 was put up for auction, hopefully to find a new owner, and was bought by Wallace Fitzgerald for the purpose of a full restoration to operation. After 20 months and over $1 million, the 2750 was fired up and moved under her own power for the first time in almost 60 years. It was such a grand sight to see this gallant old engine back in operation. But work isn't finished yet. Papyrus is currently off to the car shops in Honda to receive lettering, electronic radio equipment, and a new bell off of a former Texas and New Orleans steam locomotive. During the locomotive's almost 2-year-long restoration, many modifications had to be made in order to meet FRA standards and regulations. Air pumps were equipped to provide power for the newly installed Westinghouse air brakes, as vacuum brakes aren't approved in the United States for their bulky weight and inefficiency. Another major modification was the conversion to oil firing, as coal out west was too expensive and would spark brush fires. This makes it not only cheaper to run an oil-burning steam locomotive, but more efficient and safer. Papyrus didn't have a tender when it arrived, so calls to the National Railway Museum in York were made for blueprints to construct a new corridor tender. Other minor changes included an electric headlight for the locomotive, knuckle couplers, and a cowcatcher. Papyrus sits outside the Honda car shops for the finishing touches to conclude this lengthy restoration job. When everything is done, she'll have trial runs to calculate and record her performance if crews need to tweak with a few things until they're 100% satisfied with her performance before she can haul excursion trains. Despite the freezing rain on this early December morning, the A3 is still piping hot and steaming away like it's just a light drizzle, proving once again that they don't make them like they used to anymore.